Oh my god, is this battery about to die too? Are you freaking serious right now? I'm just talking to the battery dies. Today I want to talk about the difference between heat training and heat damage. So altogether, anytime somebody has damaged hair, what does damage mean, right? Because we have different levels of damage. We have chemical damage, mechanical damage, and heat damage. So damage is classified as holes, breaks, rips, or tears to the hair shaft in any way, shape, or form, or to the cuticle, the hair shaft, the cortex, the whole thing, right? So if there are no holes, splits, or rips within the hair shaft, then the hair by definition is not damaged. So there can be a person who has heat trained hair who has no splits, no rips, no holes, or no tears whatsoever within the hair shaft, because a person who has heat trained hair is a person who has decided on a set amount of bonds that they want to have removed from the hair shaft, right? So to heat train your hair, you are basically just getting your hair shaft used to being straightened, and there are different levels of heat training. There is a certain level of heat training where you kind of remove the majority of the curls. So something like a keratin treatment, silk amino treatment, things like that is basically, or a Brazilian what's wrong, baby? So something like a silk amino treatment, right, or a keratin treatment is something that is going to be putting a coating on the hair shaft, making it easier, right, for the hair shaft to be able to stay in a stretch state. But it's not necessarily giving your hair a relaxer. It's not removing any bonds from the hair shaft. But you know what I teach you guys all about the hydrogen bond breaking within the hair shaft. Well, because of the layer that keratin treatments and silk amino acid treatments put on the hair shaft, it makes it really, really hard for the hydrogen bond to break, right? Because the hydrogen bond is broken by water. But if you have a thick layer of product on top of the hair shaft, then it's gonna take a little more effort for that hydrogen bond to break. So this is why most people get recommended a silk amino treatment or a keratin treatment if their hair is really frizzy, or if your hair won't stay straight for long periods of time. Then sometimes a keratin treatment will be something that's good for you, right? But that's just an example of a controlled heat training experience, right? Or a controlled way to heat train your hair, or the way that I heat train my hair with Olaplex, right? Slowly controlling the bonds that I'm taking from my hair and treating my hair and the bonds that are left and multiplying them in a certain type of way, right? This is heat training. It is a controlled way, and it's like a slow mechanical way of relaxing the hair, right? Because instead of a relaxer, you're removing bonds right away and then neutralizing, versus heat training the hair, you're removing the bonds slowly and then neutralizing and multiplying those bonds and making sure they stay healthy with something like Olaplex or K18, K19, whatever you call it, or any other bond reconstructing treatments, because there are a lot out. Olaplex is just my favorite, right? That is what heat training is. Now, heat damage is something different. Heat damage is when you cause damage to the hair shaft by somehow. A lot of times what happens with damage, heat damage, is when you have some type of practice with your flat iron, whether it's the product that you use before you flat iron the hair, the way you prepped for the flat iron, which causes your hair to have rips, holes, tears, or cracks within the hair shaft or within the ends of the hair shaft. So that is heat damage. When heat damages the hair shaft, when heat causes holes, rips, or tears, right? But just because somebody has like curly hair over the majority of their hair and like straight pieces doesn't mean their hair is damaged. It means that some pieces of the hair have a whole lot of protein, sulfur to sulfur linkages in it, and then a couple of other pieces don't have sulfur to sulfur linkages. Now, genetically, whatever you are genetically, no matter what you do to your ends, when your hair grows out, the size of your follicle is going to determine how your hair is coming out. But based on the practices that you use can change your hair's texture, right? So make sure you check this video right here where I break down all of the different chemical services that you can use, all of the different types of chemical services that are out there. But there is a difference between heat damage and heat training. Heat damage is when you have holes and splits in the hair shaft. Heat training is when you train the bonds in your hair to break and get back together, or when you take out a set amount of bonds in the hair. It is a way to manually relax your hair without using a chemical. There is a difference. And heat damage and heat training is not the same thing, because there are women with heat trained hair with hair to their absolute butts. Okay, their absolute butts. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. And then just a little bonus, one question that I see all the time, women ask me, especially women plus 30 plus. Now here on my channel, I don't have kids view on my channel. Here are the demographics for my channel, and now that you can see it, this is not a place for children's. And anytime you hit 30 plus, once our bodies hit 30, they stop producing certain amino acids. So it's really important that once you hit 30, you start implementing and eating these amino acids. Now remember, once you male pattern and female pattern baldness happens around the same age for everybody. On your diet and your lifestyle, the habits that you have, how active you are, and the way you're treating your hair and scalp will determine how this happens. For men, male pattern baldness comes here throughout the temples, right? And for women, female pattern baldness comes in the middle of the hair shaft. And this happens because males and females both have testosterone in the body. Testosterone converts within the body and turns into I can't get it out right now. It converts within the body and begins to attack the hair follicle. Okay, when it begins to attack the hair follicle, it causes the hair follicle, instead of the majority of your hair follicles being in the anagen phase, it forces the majority of the hair follicles to go into the canogen phase, which is the phase where all of your hair follicles begin to detach themselves from the blood supply. Now, at any one given time, only 10% of your hair follicles are supposed to be in that phase. But if you have something like telogen effluvium, and these are my incense, it's making me feel good. If you have something like telogen effluvium, or if you have anything, or seborrheic dermatitis and different things like that, it becomes really important that you make sure that you are really paying attention to the things that you are doing to your body and ingesting inside of your body, because as it pertains to you losing hair throughout the middle of your hair, your body needs, there are certain amino acids that your body doesn't produce that you need to eat anyway. And then once we hit 30, our body stop producing the same amount of those amino acids, so then you have to eat them, right? So a lot of times the stress can cause, especially like, let's say you're wearing tight hairstyles and things of that nature, it could cause your hair to go into the canogen phase or cause your hair to go into the telogen phase. So changing your daily patterns, the way you eat, and watching this next video will really help you thicken your hair up. So stay tuned and a part of this series. Changing this battery. I want to give a shout out to all of you who left all of these amazing comments on my last video. I wasn't trying to be negative, but you guys, if you're gonna have access to my life, you have to see the good, bad, and ugly, and you always see the good. There are so many of you that are so amazing, but I mean, you have to see how I navigate through other things. But thank you so much for all of your kind words, and I'm gonna keep all of this information coming just for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've noticed, and I will pay you back for all the love you're giving me. I appreciate you.